Hello and welcome to the Brass Junkies. I am your co-host, Andrew Hitz, and I'm your co-host. I'm your host. I'm your co-host. Yeah, and I'm joined by my host, Lance LaDuke. Lance, how are you?
I feel like I've had a whole removed.
Well, that's good. That's very good. How's Pittsburgh?
It's overcast and rainy, so situation normal.
All right. So, actually, on a serious note, want to start this episode off by sending our heartfelt best wishes to Roger Bobo, who about sometime within the last week, maybe about a week ago, had what I have seen described as a small stroke in Michigan when he was, I believe, visiting Interlaken. And there's a lot of updates that have been coming through a bunch of emails and stuff. And there's been some really cool, like there was a bunch of money raised for sushi because he loves sushi. And Jerry Young was a big person involved with that. And there have been some others. But he's supposedly in good spirits, and his prognosis is really good. But yeah, we just wanted to send him our love and our best wishes because he is a gem, and we need him around for a lot longer.
Agreed.
Yeah, it was it 175? It was just a couple episodes ago, 174 maybe. It was 174 that we had our appearance with him from the tuba workshop last year, and it's awesome. His wisdom is just off the charts, and he's got the best stories in the business. And yeah. So we are sending you love, Roger, and which is not as good as sending you sushi, but it's the best that we can do.
He didn't want me sending him sushi from Pittsburgh.
Well. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, that's nice. They spent 2 minutes talking about me on their podcast, whereas this person over here brought me sushi. Yeah, it's like, which one would you rather have? I know which one I'd rather have. Lance never says anything nice about me, so I just, yeah. And he also doesn't send me sushi. But
you want me to send you some fish in the mail?
Until this gets really awkward, I would like to thank Parker Mouthpieces for providing the hosting for the Brass Junkies. Parker has never sent me sushi either. Parker Mouthpieces offers fine, customizable, not sushi, but component mouthpieces for horn, trombone, euphonium, and tuba, including the Andrew Hitz Artist Model tuba mouthpiece and the Lance LaDuke Model euphonium mouthpiece. You can find out more at parkermouthpieces.com or follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Speaking of sushi, Boston Brass, as we're recording this, is in Las Vegas. So maybe they left yesterday or today or something like that. But Jeff Connor posted a photo of them eating at some famous sushi joint at like midnight, and so
they serve French fries at a sushi joint.
Everybody was like commenting like, "Oh, cool," and I was like, "Did you order the sashimi?" Because like Jeff wouldn't eat sushi to save. He would not eat a piece of raw fish to save a school bus that was on fire filled with children. So he to put a fine point on it,
he'd hold his sushi there to cook it though,
and then he still wouldn't eat it.
He
wouldn't eat cooked fish. So I asked him what he got, and then he said iced tea with an exclamation point, which is funny. And then they posted a photo from Lotus of Siam. I don't know if you've ever heard of that place, but it's a very famous Thai restaurant in Las Vegas, which I've sadly never eaten at, but it's legendary. Again, like not like Jeff's jam. So yeah, he's being tortured by.
I don't think he even likes jam.
I know jam is a condiment. He doesn't. This is our former colleague in Boston Brass for anyone who is just starting to listen to us, and we've made fun of him a lot. But it's how do I put this, Lance? It's low-hanging fruit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he was like the unofficial boss. So yeah.
He also just, there's in every group, there's the person who reacts in such a way that you just know as soon as that first reaction happens, you're like, oh, it's you. You're the one who's going to get all this grief.
Every band, a band that gets together and like is created for like a 2-day thing. Like every band has the person, and it's never decided ahead of time.
Mm-mm.
It's just
No, it just reveals itself.
it does reveal itself. Yes.
I have to tell you, I was over at Duquesne University, home of the Mary Pappert School of Music, one of our proud sponsors, and that's not even the ad yet. But I was there. James Gourlay invited the Carnegie Mellon University To Be Funny Ensemble to come over. Adam Fry was in town, and we can talk more about that later. The ambassador. But a former student from CMU, a guy named, should I say his name? I'm not going to say his name because I don't know if he'd care. Anyway, he comes up to me afterwards, and he goes, I haven't seen you in a while. And I said, no, how you doing? And we're catching up. And he goes, I have to tell you, I was listening to a recent episode of the Brass Junkies. And he said, you guys were talking, Andrew was talking about the fact that you were a euphonium/trombone player, but that your home base was trombone. And you said that your home base was the slash. And he said, which, by the way, I don't know if you even remember that because I said it, but we just kept steaming on down the road.
Yes.
He said, that's the stupidest joke I ever heard, and I could not stop laughing for 10 minutes. He was like, I had to stop what I was doing. I could not get it out of my head. It didn't make any sense, and I just could not stop laughing at it. So I feel like, okay, my work here is done.
And to be clear, I said that your home base was euphonium, not trombone. But yes,
whichever, yeah. But that's like,
and then you said slash, and I was like, I heard the words, and it didn't make any sense. And then I was like, okay, I could stop things, I could have this episode have even less momentum, and then I could say even more words. Two things that we don't exactly get a lot of emails that are like, Andrew needs to talk more, and there needs to be less flow. So that was like once in a row where I was like, I'm just gonna.
Actually, while we're on it, so I was just glad that I broke the poor boy. And then I saw Nova, and he said, you can't imagine the number of people who ask me every month whether it annoys me that you guys make fun of me. And I tell them, yes, it really bums me out that they mention my name every episode. That's like, right? He goes, yeah, I don't understand why they think that. But,
Well, when we do the spot in a few minutes, we should make this. We should try and make this one. We won't be able to do this out loud. We should try and make it really mean spirited. Yeah. Let's try and get his numbers up for the number of people that ask about whether we hurt his feelings. So this is a listener's choice. So
really,
yes,
which listener? Oh, we choose.
Yes, we choose which listeners we want to keep listening. Which actually, judging by the first, 8 minutes of this episode, is we're none is what we're choosing, de facto. So the first question comes from Marcy in Montreal, which
look at there,
one of my favorite cities in the world.
Well, if it's from Montreal, could it be? Is that how you would pronounce it? It's probably not Marcy. Where are you from? Montreal. How do you say your name? Marcy. Where are you from? Montreal. Okay.
Marcy. Are you going
Her last name's not Boo Cup, is it?
No. Oh, gosh. That was awful. That was almost slash bad. Are you going to do a Lance and Andrew Give Thanks episode this year? So the answer.
This is the time of year.
This is the time of year, and so we decided rather than doing a full episode that we would just do a portion here of this as our give thanks, because we've had the last 2 years around Thanksgiving we've done a Lance and Andrew Give Thanks. So Lance, what are you thankful for?
The Marcy Boku thing now seems even more appropriate. What am I thankful for? I'm thankful for, well, I don't have anything resembling an actual problem right now. So, everyone in my family is healthy. They're all thriving. They're all finding their own way. That's just so. Life doesn't always go that way. And so now that it is, I'm very thankful that is the case. That's probably the thing that comes to mind. I apologize in bringing this to a serious, sincere note, but we'll be back to nonsensory shortly.
I got two things that come to mind right away. One is that my son Nicholas, who is 7, was just able to get his first vaccination shot.
Nice.
Yep, about a week ago. He was actually a little scared, which he'd never been scared of a shot of a needle before, and it wasn't because of what was in it. He was just kind of like was anxious. It had been a while because when they're like really little, they get it's like every time they go in the doctor, they're like bang 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 bang. There's like they pump them full of stuff. But then as soon as he got done, I was like, that's it, buddy, and he was like, that's it, and then he said, I can already feel it working. And then he went to give the woman who gave him the shot a high five, and she said, you are now vaccinated, you can give me a high five. And he like jumped in the air to give her this giant high five. It was very adorable. So so I'm appreciative for science, for sure. And then I stumbled on I don't think have I ever talked about Sam Palafian on the podcast before?
Name doesn't ring a bell.
It was like there's a few episodes I didn't talk about him, but I couldn't tell you which ones. I heard a quote from Simon Sinek, who I'm sure that he's like the
Start with Y.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, he's brilliant. But I heard a quote from him just yesterday that really screamed at me and made me think of Sam, which was quote, a mentor is not someone who walks ahead of us and tells us how they did it. A mentor is someone who walks alongside us to guide us on what we can do. That's pretty profound right there.
Yeah.
And that's like, I know I've shared this before, but the very first time that I met Sam, I was 12. There was an Empire Brass concert at Tanglewood, and I went and waited with a few other people afterwards to talk to him. And when it got to be my turn, he was like right there. I would say he crouched down, but I was as tall as he was by the time I was 12. So that's a short joke, Sam. I used to call him the Yoda of the tuba, and then one day he figured out, he's like, wait, Hitz, is that a short joke? And I was like, it is. I was like, it took him a long time to figure it out. And then he said some words that I won't say because it would make us put the explicit tag on, which we might still do. But anyway, I left that conversation with him, not thinking that I could do what he did someday, but like knowing that I could. Like he made me feel like an equal. Not that I thought he was a tuba god. I was in awe of him. So it wasn't like I felt like an equal at all as a tuba operator. He just talked to me in this way, which was just like, you're a tuba player, I'm a tuba player, let's hang out for a few minutes. It wasn't at all like a, hey, so cool that you came, I'm sure you're impressed. There's like, and so I left that conversation just like feeling like we were friends and just feeling like I was positive that I could do what he did. And that relationship like never changed, like from when I went and then I studied with him at Tanglewood, and then we became super close and like family, and then like becoming his like brass quintet colleague, like in terms of like traveling the world myself, and it was always the exact same. It was just like always the exact same. And so that I'm thankful. Because boy, there's a whole lot of 12-year-olds who don't have somebody like that dropped into their lap, and that's not anything that I did. It's like nothing I did. My parents could take some credit for like getting me to that concert, and for I don't remember whether I said, hey, can I go talk to him? If I did, my parents were like, go, or my parents were like, they saw me in awe. Like my shoulders were slumped. I was like go talk to him. Which is awesome. But so I was feeling very thankful last night about Sam.
Oh, that's very cool.
Yep.
I was at Iowa State last week and saw Christian Kirchner, who's runs the marching band there and teaches tuba youth, and we were swapping some Sam stories. And I got to hang with one of my mentors, Michael Galimo.
Right.
So yeah, that's the thing. The mentor thing. Here it is. If you're thankful for somebody in your life, if you're listening to this, all seriousness, which I do very rarely, if there's a teacher or a mentor or somebody who means something to you, tell them. Let them know
today
how much you appreciate it. Hit pause, go do that.
Yeah.
Because it could be that it's the last chance you have to talk to them. But not to get morbid, but I mean, just there's too many people that I've missed out on being able to thank. And so I'm not making that mistake again. So Galimo was good and sick of hearing me say nice things about him. But he's like, okay, let's go to the airport. On your way.
The fact is that that with every person in your life, there is a last time that you get to talk to them. And the percentage of people where like you actually know that it is the last conversation is I mean, actually Sam was the closest I came to that, but I didn't know. I just like I in my gut I could tell. But like there's a real specific set of circumstances that has to go into, like, someone needs to be dying. They need to be, like at the very end, it's like, so you never know when it's the last time. And also if you have the means, and if like, if you can go visit somebody, like, do it. Yeah, the fact that I got that last visit with Sam, which ended up costing me like, that plane ticket was like $600 or something. It was like, it was enough that it was super annoying, and then there was like weather delay. It almost didn't happen, and but it did. And I'm, I feel so. I mean, geez, if I could. I mean, this goes without saying, but if I had the opportunity to spend $600 again to have that conversation again, I'd pay a lot more than $600, So,
Right.
yeah, pick up the phone, even a text. Like, I can fall into the trap of like, okay, I need to tell this person how much they mean to me, but like they're important enough to me that it really should be done in person. And then you just like put it, I mean, like, send them a text, which isn't as good as a phone call, which isn't as good as a Zoom call, which certainly isn't as good as like, which isn't even as good as, I would say, writing them a letter, which isn't as good as in person. I mean, but you just never know when it's going to be the last time,
Right.
Yeah. And we're both at that age now where it's, for a little while now, we're just like start thinking about it, because people start like, it's like, remember Sam, it's like, yeah, that starts happening. Right. And for some people, it starts happening crazy early just because of circumstance. But
Yeah. Well, Ken Bloomquist was the director of bands at Michigan State, and incredibly pivot. I could tell 20 stories about how he took my head off, put it back on my body facing in the correct direction, and pushed me out of his office. And we just lost him a month ago, 6 weeks ago. And you just don't know. You just don't know.
yeah.
Don't
Yep.
take the chance.
And also, if there's a musician who you'd really like to see perform and they're coming anywhere near, then yeah, go. So, and we're still in COVID. I'm not just like going to every. I've only been to a couple of indoor shows. A couple, one, two. Yeah, and I've been very careful. But anyway.
Anyhow,
So
thank you, Marcy.
Yeah. That's
Mercy, Marcy.
That's a. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. All right, let's see here. Dwayne in Indianapolis. Here's a good question, which is why we chose it. We get lots of terrible questions, and then we shoot them back and forth and make fun of the people. No, that's not true. We get good questions. What will music school look like in 25 years?
25 years. 20. Well, that's an interesting question. Here's what won't change.
Here's I can't wait to see the transcription on that one.
I don't know. I don't know if we'll ever come up with a better way to replicate master apprentice for the individual learning of a instrument. Not that, and I'm about as tech forward of anybody that I talk to. I just see, I'm extremely bullish on how technology can be used to even enhance those situations, so that you and I could feel like we were in the same location right now. That's coming.
I feel so connected to you. Mean technology could never bring us closer, Lance.
The model of a master instrumentalist or vocalist and a pupil being in the same space and getting direct real-time feedback, I just don't know that will ever be improved upon. Asterisk, with AI and immersive technologies, may become the case that you don't. It could be that Pablo Casals could be your teacher, and you could enter his everything he'd ever said into an AI, or Sammy from Miami. And that will get easier as harder for Casals than for Sam, because we have Sam on video and an audio, playing, teaching, talking, lots and lots of time. So we could create a virtual Sam, but just that's probably the optimal. That real time feedback thing is probably key to it.
Yeah. I can talk one thing about lessons. I think that there is going to be some school that, in an effort to differentiate themselves, is going to, and I think if one does this, that that a bunch may copy. I think somebody is going to question whether 100% of applied lessons should be on your with your primary teacher on your instrument. And yes, there are schools that'll do like lesson swaps, and where like the cello professor and the tuba professor will swap for 6 kids that want it or whatever. But I think that I have to think, because the problem right now is that so many schools, in the eyes of customers, and the eyes of the customers are the only people that get to vote on this, right? You don't get to decide whether what you offer is remarkable. It's only the people that you are serving. And so many schools look almost exactly the same. And then it's like a race to the bottom with price point, and it's just all about scholarships and all about affordability. What if the euphonium students at Carnegie Mellon got, I'm just choose a number, 75% of their lessons, which is still like the vast majority, right? Like that's still a lot of lessons in a 4-year degree. What if they got 75% of their lessons from you, and then they were learning there was like a couple of lessons with a vocal teacher in terms of like phrasing, and there was a couple of like groove-based lessons with a percussion teacher, and there was that, and that it was kind of like either mapped out or something that you could actually like sign up for, almost like a lottery type thing, where you could choose, where each teacher had a certain amount of their load that was that was open. I think that the lesson model of it being one-on-one, 1 hour every week, same time with the same person, I think that I still think that that's going to be by far the dominant model in 25 years, if I have to guess. But I think that there could be some real value there. We're both always telling our students, like, if you want to hear about like phrasing, listen to singers, right? Like the best
vibrato.
Yes, so like go learn vibrato from a singer. It's like, we can teach vibrato. I've seen you do it. I can do it. And we both have a nice,
not the mechanics, but the when and how.
Yep. And can lead a student through how to experiment with vibrato and how to all of that stuff. But then you can just go to an actual singer, and if like they could have like 2 lessons with that person, so it's like there's a chance to like learn and then apply and then recheck in, and that's also like a kind of a different motivation baked in. So I think that there are going to be some tweaks to that model. Mm-hmm. There are some challenges infrastructure-wise and things like that, but I do think that that's coming.
It's really interesting. We have the potential to look back on this and laugh, although the chances of us looking back on this in 25 years are low. But anything that you could learn via equivalent of a MOOC, so like an online, anything that needs to be memorized and spat back out, it's going to be commoditized. Like, you're just going to have to go do this like fill this thing out online and then prove that you know it. So I hope that there's much more of a choose your own adventure. And here's an example. So our good friends, the McKees, have this thing called the American Band College, and it's an opportunity for working band directors to get a master's degree, which is a big deal for band directors, not just band directors, but it's awesome opportunity for them to do a thing without having to take time off. And one of the ways they, in my mind, excel and lead is that when you come in the door, you take a series of placement exams, and anything you're competent at doing, you will spend 0 minutes working on.
Yeah, of course.
It's just like, what are your weak areas? And then you're going to spend a lot of time working on that stuff. And so, but that requires an individual approach that is missing in a lot of places. And so choose your own adventure. Yeah. Then, what is it that you need, and where and how does it line up with your interests? I also wonder about, I feel like there has been kind of this drumbeat of anti-large ensemble-ism. And I don't know where that is headed. How long will, because you look at pretty much every music school, the students spend a large amount of time with a whole bunch of their peers in a large ensemble setting. And will that continue to be the case? And how is COVID going to impact this? And how will how's the financial health and structure of the symphony orchestra and opera companies and large ensembles? How will that impact how much time students do that at the university level? Because there are people who think that already happens too much and it shouldn't happen as much as it does. I'm not sure how deep we want to go down that road.
Well, and I don't agree or disagree with that, but any time that, like, almost across the board, large ensembles have more prominence within the curriculum. I mean, I don't know of a single school that has it where small ensembles has more, like, more credit hours and more just time spent and resources spent. I think that's ripe for a disruption, because again, it's not like it's not like Curtis is going to, like, tear up their orchestra and then only do string quartets and like the brass quintet, but the fact that no place features, like, works in more small space, like, that's probably not gonna be the case in however many decades from now, just because, again, I think schools are going to figure out that to stand out, like, not in a sensational way, it has to be in a meaningful way, but to stand out, I think a lot of schools now try to market to everybody. There's like, it's like, you're going to take 2 years of music theory, you're going to take 2 years of piano, you're going to take like 3 or 4 years of large ensemble. Like, all the degrees look really, really, really similar. And the thing is you could change fundamentally what you offer. And if 90% of the people are like, I don't want that, but if 10% are like, I want to go there because that's the place, then, like, that's actually better. That would make recruiting easier than just being one of the many, many, many options that you're competing against everybody else. And I think you said something really important, which is, I could see I could see a world where, say, music theory at at the college level, where the information transfer is the homework. That's where you watch a lecture, that's where you whatever, and then you go to class to actually do your homework, such that the teacher, the expert, is in the room with you, and you can then, or you could even ask a student next to you. There could be some collaboration there. But I think in a lot of ways, the model is exactly opposite of what it should be, which is that because you could find a YouTube video on a Neapolitan 6-chord, and you could find, I have no interest in that at all, but you could find really good video about what it is, the history of it if you want or not, examples of it, like showing scores, showing its functionality. Like, that's easy. You don't need to be... I can acquire that knowledge with no other humans involved in under 10 minutes. I allegedly have it, but I forgot it intentionally as soon as I learned it. Like way back in the day. But then applying it, obviously, is like, that's where the art comes in, right? That's where that's the interesting work, but that's the hard work. And so that's what YouTube can't get you, right? And so I think that some places are going to figure out that it should be completely flipped, right? You know.
Well, that's how my I mean, that's called the flipped classroom is what they call that. And so I'm teaching a business and music class this semester, and that's the model. Like what they're doing in class is right now they're in their businesses, so they're refining. Tomorrow they're going to be refining their budgets. So I'll give them a prompt, and then they'll split into teams, and then we come back together at the end. And along the way, who has problems on whatever, and I might shut the class down and go, okay, everybody was just a blah, blah, blah. And then back, game on. And here's a question.
That's awesome.
Why is Neapolitan ice cream a thing? That's just terrible. Does anyone do you like strawberry ice cream? I should say, do you like strawberry colored ice cream? I don't mean ice cream that has strawberries in it. That is quite flavorful.
I do like
the pink stuff.
I do like the pink stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, part of that's
you and I can split some of the Neapolitan, and I'll just slice that part. And
I have essentially no use for chocolate ice cream at all, unless it's excellent, just like the kind of chocolate ice cream you get in Neapolitan,
for the same reason, I guess.
Yeah,
probably,
it's just I don't need it, and I never order chocolate ice cream. I don't know. I'm always going for other bases than chocolate.
Now, it's been a long time since I've been locked in a car with you for long periods of time, so I don't remember the answer to this question. Do you have much of a sweet tooth?
I do.
Ah, okay.
Yep.
Because I don't. So it's like most. I mean, I probably have ice cream, 3 times a year, and that's probably once too many.
Yeah.
And so.
I had it yesterday.
Oh. Wow.
I haven't had it today, which is good because it's 9:30. We were starting to record at 8:30. I was like, 8:15 in the morning is probably a little early for fish food, so I won't eat it.
Well, so what? Oh, it's fish food. Okay. So what? How often do you have dessert? Do you have dessert every day? You have sweets every day?
Around Halloween, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're like candy bars that are
those don't even count.
No. No, I don't. No, not every day. Not every day. But if it's around, yeah, I got a sweet tooth.
I remember you like that those flavored coffee creamers too, right?
Oh, I love. Yep, yeah, pumpkin flavored coffee. Love
pumpkin fudge ripple.
Oh, I love it. Yep, it's great.
Bacon.
Especially the creamers, yeah, where the expiration date is in 2024. Yeah, it's yep.
The expiration date is in line with when these music schools will change.
You will. This creamer will kill you before it expires. Yeah, that's what the packaging should say. Yeah, coffee comes pre-flavored. It tastes like coffee.
It's coffee flavored. So you know what?
What?
There is a school of music at Duquesne University called the Mary Papert School of Music. Those fine folks are longtime sponsors of the Brass Junkies, and we appreciate that. So what we would like to encourage you to do is to visit the link in the show notes and go find out all the ways you could study music at Duquesne University. James Gourlay is now teaching tuba and euphonium. Jim Nova, and he's actually running the band as well. So there's some very exciting things happening over there.
Jim Nova's running the band?
And Jim Nova is not running the band.
That's
Jim
what
Nova
you just said.
I did, but Gourlay is running the band, tuba and euphonium. And Nova, there's a fantastic lineup of teachers there.
It would be sweet if you had just broken the news that they were relieving Gourlay of the band responsibilities and that he'd been replaced by Nova, and that we were breaking it in the middle of a spot on the Brass Junkies.
Zach Smith, former guest of the Brass Junkies, teaches French horn. Chad Winkler, former guest on the Brass Junkies, teaches trumpet. Jim Nova teaches something. Well, teaches is a stretch, but he's there.
Wait, we're supposed to be mean to him, aren't we? On this one, we decided. Ooh. Jim Nova teaches how to fail up. That's what he teaches. Yep.
So, if you're interested, and even if you aren't, we would appreciate it if you click on the link in the show notes below and go see what Duquesne University has to offer. It's smack in the middle of a great part of Pittsburgh. It's right across from the hockey arena. I hadn't been to Duquesne in a couple of years since I stopped teaching there, and got to go there on Saturday for this event. So it was really nice to go back in there. Nice facilities, great faculty. Go check it out. And very, very, very special thanks to Jim Thin-Skin Nova for making that possible.
That's funny.
Not bad.
This question is for Lance. Meg in Palm Springs wants to know,
Palm Springs.
what was the hardest part about learning the trombone? I mean, other than your own limitations.
Yeah, right.
Those were my
Insert
words, not
joke here.
Meg's.
Yeah. What was the hardest part of learning the trombone? Well, my approach is, it's like the ABC thing. So that's my approach, which is that first thing I did was analyzed all the stuff that I could already do, because I had the good fortune of being in the United States Air Force Band in Washington, D.C. I had the good fortune of playing with the brass band of Battle Creek, who had Scott Hartman and Hans Bone and the Badger and, Mark Frost, all these amazing players, Harry Waters, and then playing with Boston Brass and doing the Kenton Christmas carols and just being. So I knew what I wanted to sound like. I had examples. Matt Vaughn was in the trombone section of the Air Force Band when I was there. He's now associate or assistant, whatever I don't know what he is. The second, Grand Poobah? What's just below the Grand Poobah? Associate? What? I don't know what. He's like the other awesome trombone player.
Vice Grand Poobah.
Vice Grand Poobah. He's one of the great players in the Philadelphia Orchestra, and an annoyingly good euphonium player as well, and even more annoying, like a really nice human being with a really nice family. So I hate that guy. So anyway,
I mean, not like Jim Nova levels of hate, but in the ballpark.
So I know I knew tone quality wise what did I want to sound like. The face part was not an issue. Articulation was not a little bit of a tweak, but not much of an issue. But I really had a gross motor problem. Insert joke. Anyway, and that was that I had. That's just like a Mad Libs. Well, just like I'll pause periodically and let people insert their own jokes. Wait, I'm not getting what I paid for. Oh wait, you're not paying for this. Okay, so I had a gross motor problem. Like I could do the valve thing. I'd been doing it since day one. I started on trumpet, switched in ninth grade to euphonium, and then now it's about getting the slide to go where I need it to go when I need it to go there. So the hard part was, hard. It was simple though. It was, all joking aside, it was a simple problem. I just have to operate the slide with enough facility to be able to play this music that Boston Brass had provided me. So I didn't need to learn the Grandal, and I didn't need to learn all the Arthur Pryor solos and 3 books of Rochu and all the orchestral excerpts. I needed to learn this 2-hour set of music. And so that the hard part, I don't even think of it as a hard part. It was just like, if you want to run a marathon, the hard part is the running part. So in the trombone, the hard part was making the trombone slide go where it needed to go. Yeah. I mean, it's not, a lot of times I see students get all tied up in knots they way overthink a lot of things. And I'm always stressing to break it down to as simple of a thing as possible. Mm-hmm. And then you just execute it at a high level repeatedly at a slow enough tempo that you can kill it every time. Mm-hmm. So I didn't really think of it as a hard thing to do. Huh. How about that?
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I'm what a great message in terms of simplifying things. If you're learning an excerpt, it was Zirkle that I first heard say this, and I've said it every time I've ever worked with anyone in a masterclass on an excerpt since, where it's like, what is the assignment here? It's like when it's Fountains of Rome for the tuba. Like, what is the assignment? The assignment for Fountains of Rome is that you can get in and out of the pedal register at a loud volume, like with some agility. There is groove and phrasing, but also I think clarity is another one, because it moves so fast and down low it can be very, very muddy. Once you just identify what like the main assignment is for an excerpt, you then know exactly what to be evaluating yourself on. The other way to say that is like what are they what are most people going to not completely screw up, but kind of screw up on this excerpt? Because those are when there's 100 people and they're trying to narrow it down to a person, then they need to tell 99 people to go home. And so, that's, I think you have to identify like what are most people going to, mess up. That's what the assignment is. Like, that's what, can you play loud and low without it getting heavier or the sound changing or it's slowing down, like, which is, it's actually not hard. It just takes a ton of work. That's it. Yeah, like Aaron Tyndall can do that. It's not because he's smarter than, I mean, it's obviously not because he's smarter than the rest of us. It's because he's done the work, right? I mean, it's like, and I want to be clear. I'm not saying that if you had done the exact same amount of work as Aaron, that you would automatically play as well as him. That's not how it works. But you could play pretty darn close to as well as he can if you did all the work that he did. I mean, he did the work over a prolonged period of time, and then magically he can play in the low register, getting in and out with. If he's changing the sound, it's intentionally, and So, but I like that you like oversimplify things, so you just like have to focus on whatever is actually in front of you, and yeah.
Well, if you're frustrated in the practice room, you need to simplify something.
Yeah.
We've talked about the flow thing a lot, but it means that the challenge at hand is higher than your abilities right now, which doesn't mean you're a good person or a bad person. You just need to simplify the thing until you're able to execute it consistently. Every good player has taken things at quarter speed or half speed. Every good player has simplified rhythms, changed octaves to make it easier, made accommodations to learn a thing at that level before speeding it up. Students often want to start at tempo and just like slog and beat their way through it, and that's just not the fastest way. It feels like it will be, but it isn't. And the other concept that's really has resonated with me lately is I don't tend to be in shape. This just shocked you, Andrew. I don't tend to be in shape musically as much of the year as I used to be. We'll just say it nicely that way.
I'm glad you said musically because you're obviously ripped. So I was like, where's he going with this?
And actually, as an aside, one of the trumpet players in the Pittsburgh Symphony recently said a thing that I thought was quite funny. Neil Bernson said, hey, he heard that during COVID, everyone became a hunk, a chunk, or a drunk. Which is pretty funny, and I think I could check off all boxes to one extent or another. But I digress. I'm not asked to, so I had to play some solos at Iowa State, and so I come in and out of being in shape over the course of the year, depending on what's going on. And that can be a frustration if I remember the fact that I'm not in shape does not mean that it's a good thing or a bad thing. It's just it's a data point. And so likewise, if you get a streak of practicing and you've practiced for 100 days in a row and then you miss a day and you're back to zero, that can be incredibly discouraging. And I think the thing, as best as you can, you need to just start with beginner mind and say, well, this is where I am today. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't matter what I did yesterday, and it doesn't matter that streak ended, and it doesn't matter that a year ago this or a month ago that. Where are you today? Yeah. What are the needs today? What is difficult today? And just stay there. That's where you need to focus your efforts.
Yeah.
It's deep, baby. Baby, that's deep.
That is deep.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Speaking of deep, why don't you talk to us about Houchin horns?
You'll never find. Houchin horns aims to spread the joy of music through providing the highest level of product, services, and resources to the brass playing community. You know what else?
What else?
They do repairs and customizations in-house. You know what else?
What?
They have a 15-day money-back guarantee with free shipping on all new instruments and accessories, with multiple easy financing options on all inventory. Terms and conditions apply. You can browse the extensive news and resources page on HouchinHorns.com for great pedagogical info, articles, interviews, videos, and events. We've done so on this very show. You can watch over 200 unique videos on Houchin Horns' YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/Houchin Houchin horns. You got to do the hand gesture too. And if you enter the promo code Junkies at online checkout, you'll receive 10% off your purchase from HouchinHorns.com. Some limitations apply. And when you're entering Junkies, while you're keying that in, you have to use that voice and make it sound like that. It's just, it won't work otherwise. Thank you, Mark.
Make sure that you use the slash. It's the lower left to upper right. Do not use upper right to lower left. That's really important. Yep. That's
truth.
That's very important. I remember I just had a flashback to Boston Brass days when we had a colleague who insisted that we say www dot in front of bostonbrass.com when I was like it fills it in for you, and he was like, well, not everybody has like browsers that will do that. I was like, anybody who doesn't have a browser at this point is not going to remember our URL and then type it in. But yeah. By the way, www is three letters. WWW. Like, how about that? The acronym is 9 syllables, and for 3 letters. That seems suboptimal.
Word. So I was just near a very important place to you and me.
You were in Iowa. I know where this is going. Where were you?
Well, I flew into Des Moines, and then I went up to Ames and hung out in Ames. But I converted even more people. They have promised to go visit the B&B Meat Deli in Des Moines.
That's awesome. So, meat grocery, right? Isn't it? It's like, whatever. It's yeah.
And they had those monster. I had forgotten the monster sandwiches too, which was the reason we went there in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
But we got to be good friends with these guys who, good friends. We got to be friends with these guys who ran this place, a whole family of them. And actually, all the marketing is hilarious. It's all kind of hand drawn, and they all make fun of each other. And they're all the niece or whoever she was who was working at the main thing wanted to quit, and they're like, "You can't quit. You're my niece." It's just like this whole, you're here for life.
They have like a chef's table, like right behind the counter that we would always get to eat, and that place was awesome. Yeah, that place is awesome. Matt Sexauer, who's on the staff at American Band College, he stops there because he drives out there. He drives from Massachusetts to Oregon, so because he wants to have a car there, which is like, that's a long ways. He stops there every single summer. So, and I think name drops us. So we haven't been in quite some time now, but they keep hearing about us. So, all right, last question. This is from Peter in Kirkwood, Missouri. What are your plans for the holidays?
For Thanksgiving in particular, I assume this means. I don't know. All right, I'll throw it at you. So we have this cottage. I would call it a lake cottage, but that would imply there was a lake there. But we're going to. It sleeps 11, and we're going to max that puppy out.
Oof.
It's going to be like a litter of puppies. So I've got to make a trip I'm in Pennsylvania, so I have to make a trip to the beer store and the liquor store and the grocery, and my mother-in-law is bringing a turkey for those who eat meat, and so that's going to be quite the hullabaloo. And we actually don't have. I've got to figure out a way to watch football because we don't have a TV there, so I've got to sort that part out. And then that's more towards my wife's side of the family. But then in mid-December, the LaDuke family holiday spectacular weekend is happening from Thursday through a Monday. We've rented the ridiculous Airbnb that's halfway between Pittsburgh and Michigan. It's near Cedar Point actually, and it's right on Lake Erie, which we will look at through the window. But in mid-December, that's about all we will do. So it's cheap and huge, and we're going to have a great time. How about you and yours?
Wow, that's cool. I actually have a suggestion. I have a suggestion for you.
I'm ready.
I think that you should invite more than 11 people to Thanksgiving, and the first 11 to show up get to leap inside.
Uh-huh.
I think that would be kind of exciting, especially if mother-in-law was like, hadn't checked in. There's already like 9 people there. It's like, that'd get good. Is all I'm
That would
saying.
be funny. Like if he got one but she didn't. Like my father-in-law did, but my mother-in-law didn't. That would be pretty entertaining.
Well, if one of them just walks in first, like in your number
Yeah.
11.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, good. That's the point. Yeah. Up there's a shed. It's sheltered.
The for Thanksgiving, Doctor, I almost said Miss Dr. Aris Golden, who is one of the band directors
Oh,
at
fun.
Michigan State.
Go Green.
She's coming. She's coming over to have Thanksgiving with us, and then I think my parents are coming before Christmas. I think Christmas is just going to be just us, and then for New Year's, I am going to Madison Square Garden to see Fish on the
Nice.
30th and 31st. I don't have a ticket for the 31st yet, which will be challenging, but I'll find one. I'm pretty connected.
Did I tell you what I'm doing the Sunday after Thanksgiving?
You sure did.
So I'll make this story as short as possible. So our former associate pastor at our church got a gig at Beaumont, Texas. And she texted us and said, "What are you guys doing for Thanksgiving?" Which we interpreted as she was going to be in town, maybe needed a place to stay. We love her. Great. Come, White. We were like, probably going to the cottage. What's going on? She said, one of my parishioners, she's a big Steelers fan. People are around Pittsburgh tend to like the Steelers. You can insert whatever joke, commentary, whatever you want to do. Even after yesterday.
Who tied the powerhouse Detroit Lions last night.
I was never so happy that I had to go to a concert. I was watching my phone instead of watching the game, and that turns out to have been the right move. But any old how, that won't dissuade Steelers fans, and that you would even be up for this. So she said she has a parishioner who he's now down to 2 private jets because the 15-passenger jet, he didn't really use that one as much, so he's got 2 24-passenger jets. So he's flying her and him and his wife up to Pittsburgh and picking up a bunch of her pals on Saturday morning and flying us to Cincinnati, and he's bought us tickets to the game that are really nice tickets, and we're going to the game, and then he's flying us back to Pittsburgh and dropping us off and then flying them back down to Texas. Yes, please.
Wow.
So I've never been on a private jet, so I'm looking forward to this.
I have not been on a private jet either.
So that's a thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that is.
How about that?
That is a thing. There you go.
Poor me.
The Bengals are not horrible this year, actually.
No, I know. They've already beaten us once, and I'd say, if we put on a show like we did yesterday,
I mean, you
that would be something.
couldn't beat the Lions, so yeah, I would say that you're.
I would say, I am pleased. Have there been 2 games that were not just like total nail biters for reasons that make absolutely no sense? I mean, that's part of what you sign up for with the Steelers. You should watch Pittsburgh Dad. You would get a kick. I know we've talked about it. He's hilarious. And he kind of owns the misery that is we can make any game, whether it should be a blowout or not, we can make it look absolutely painful.
See, I prefer blowouts. The Patriots beat the Browns yesterday 45-7.
That's what I'm saying.
The game was yanked off of local TV with a quarter left, and our backup came in with 8.5 minutes left. So yeah, that's I prefer those. Those are better.
I do too. That's why I can't. Well, Michigan State is rolling this year. They're doing really great, except for Purdue. But I can't watch the games generally because I get too. Get too amped up. So I just check in on it, and if it becomes clear that they're going to win, then I'll watch the end of it. But otherwise, I can't. I just can't take it. Ugh.
I would be remiss to not point out that the Patriots got the best quarterback in the entire draft last year with the 15th pick, which is pretty awesome. Yep, just waited. Teams traded up, took other guys. No, we'll get Mac Jones at 15, and we're going to be rolling again soon. Won 4 in a row. So there you go. Boom.
There it is.
We've got a cool bonus episode planned.
We do.
It's planned. We're about to record it. There is a book by Gregory Stock called The Book of Questions, And so this is going to be a couple more questions. But there's like the first question that we're going to tackle is if you had to tattoo your arm with a message to yourself, what would you write? We should maybe start throwing some of these type questions at guests.
They're really good. I mean,
maybe throw them at the guests for bonus episodes. But anyway. Yeah.
Here's another one. If you were a role model to millions of children who closely followed you and your life choices, how would you change your behavior? And what if only your own kids were noticing you and being affected? Like these are really cool questions.
Yeah, that is cool. I mean, I would.
They usually have like an opening thing, and then sometimes they spin it.
Huh. There you have it. So we're going to answer a couple of those. Yeah, pretty cool. You can listen to that bonus episode. You can also listen to bonus episodes with a bunch of people that have already been name dropped. And by the way, I like when it was, what was the hardest part about learning the trombone? And then you just like name dropped for like 45 seconds. You're like, well,
listening to other players.
I got to play. I listening to other players who were standing next to me while I played with them.
That's a good point. See, I didn't even pick up on that. That's how far gone I am.
Yeah. He is totally checked
Doesn't
out.
even register.
It'd be awesome, actually, if Lance ran out for groceries and wasn't one of the 11 that got a bed at his own house.
If that happens, I'm just going to keep on driving back to Pittsburgh, baby.
Yeah, that's true. Then you got an alibi. You're just like, I am good. I like this, though. My idea is like a Thanksgiving Hunger Games. Where
that is pretty good.
I like it. And I think you should have like 14 people is what you should invite. There should be 3 people that don't. And hopefully they don't like each other, don't love each other, so that if they have to get a hotel or something, it's like be a good reality show.
Testy.
Yeah.
And then there's only one hotel room, and it's only got 2.
Oh yeah. Oh no, they have to share a hotel room.
And but there's one more person. So then that's like the second round, is which 2 are going to make it into the hotel room,
and the last person is voted out of the family. They're removed. There's lawyers on site that remove them from the will. I think this is good. All right, we're gonna go record this bonus episode. Thank you to Marcy, Dwayne, Meg, Peter, everybody that sent in questions.
Thinskin Nova
And things. Thank you, Thinskin Nova, for continually failing upwards like
Marcy
that sentence. And thank you to all of you for listening. And that is going to do it for another episode of The Brass Junkies.